Well, France 24's Ershad Alijani, who worked on that report, is with me in the studio now. And look, Ershad, as we saw in your report there, you are speaking to Iranians all the time. You're Iranian yourself. So just give us a sense now. We're at day 11. Pete Hegseth saying today, look, today is going to be the most intense day of strikes so far. How are people that you talk to, how are they feeling, particularly after the news of the appointment of the new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei?
Yeah, maybe I can sum it up in some few words. Disappointment, confusion, fear, and anger. Maybe many are disappointed because Mojtaba Khamenei is seen as just as much of a hardliner as his father, if not worse. His name has long been linked to some of the harshest internal crackdown over the past 20 years. There is also real fear that Donald Trump could strike some kind of a deal with the regime or simply declare victory in the coming days, leaving Iranians facing one of the persons that we talked to in this report. Vahid described to me as the wounded beast in a cage and left Iranian people alone with this wounded beast in the cage. Many people also are angry, especially after coalition strikes hit fuel infrastructure in Tehran. Several told me this is not what we wanted. They say these are facilities used by ordinary Iranians, or historic sites have been damaged yesterday in Isfahan. These are not the regime, and they said that they have to only hit the military targets, as Vahid said, for example, in this report. And finally, there is lots of confusion too. Many feel that Trump-Netanyahu coalition does not have a clear plan. Different figures in the U.S. administration are giving different, sometimes contradictory messages. Even Trump himself, in a single interview, outlined several very different scenarios for the week ahead. So there is a huge confusion among the Iranians what will happen in the coming weeks.
Well, look, speaking of Donald Trump and his messaging, one of the things that he said is that he'd quite like it if Iranians went out on the streets themselves and tried to topple this regime. Look, you and I know that Iranians did go out bravely and protest earlier on this year. They were killed, in their thousands. So how do people that you've been talking to view this suggestion by Donald Trump that they should sort of do that again?
Yeah, that was one of the questions that we asked several Iranians in the last couple of days, and all of them told us that in the current situation, it simply isn't possible. For example, Wahid told me, and I quote, "The condition for going into the streets do not exist now because the regime is still firmly present in the streets." That's the same observer that he told us, some Iranian who told us that the repression machine is in place and it's working. Another Iranian we spoke to, Simin, she told us people cannot go out into the streets because there would be another massacre, even worse than in the early January. As you mentioned, tens of thousands of Iranians have been killed. And Simin continues, the conditions have to be much safer for people. The number of protesters doesn't really matter. What matters is that they are armed, the regime, and the people are not. Another issue is that if protests were to happen, people would need to stay in Tehran or other major cities, and there is a risk of being bombed. It becoming harder and harder for Tehran residents or other major cities to remain in their own cities. For example, one of the people we spoke to, a woman named Simin, chose to leave Tehran like many others. She said that air pollution had become unbearable. So it's really, as far as I talk to Iranians in Tehran and other cities, the conditions are not good to people go outside as Trump or some other political dissident says that go out and topple the regime.
Yeah, so people are afraid. They find that those statements by Donald Trump are rather naive, it sounds like. Is it fair to say then that Iranians are really just feeling pretty hopeless right now?
I would say that in the first 2 days of the war, especially after the news of Khamenei's death, when I spoke to people, there was that I would call it kind of a realistic optimism. Many felt that this time could be truly be different. But now when I speak to them, what I hear sounds more like a wishful optimism. For example, Wahid, one of the Iranians that we talked to in this report, he told me, I hope in the midst of all this, the Iranian people who have been betrayed so many times by international powers in recent years for countless reasons, will not be betrayed against this time, and that the real objective will truly be the freedom of the Iranian people, even if that may sound very idealistic. I hope it will be so. So that's realistic that the Khamenei is dead. Maybe the regime maybe we can topple the regime this time. It's replaced by kind of a hope, but wishful hope, I can say.